All right. Andy, tell me about the river. When I saw you in Fiddle Hell in 2016, I think you
Hmm.
were just coming up with the concept of River of Suck. Is that right? Because
well,
you were
it's
mentioning, and I was in a workshop with you, and you
yep.
were talking about it there, and I said, "Man, that is very interesting. What the heck's he talking about?" And
So yeah,
go ahead.
the River of Suck concept was, as far as I can tell, originally from one of my mentors at Berkeley, John McGann, who is an unbelievable mandolin player, unbelievable guitar player,
Yeah.
and a great practicer and a great motivator at getting other people to practice. And so I've I've spoken to several other students of his through the years, and I think he used this more for people who really needed to hear it, which included me.
Uh huh.
It's like you have to suck at something before you can be good at it. Just dive into the river of suck, and then you can get to the other side.
Yeah.
So I that had been kind of bouncing around in my brain. I was giving um, presentations on that I called healthy musical attitudes,
Okay.
which you might have been to one of those,
Yeah.
and I realized that I was a little tired after almost a decade of talking about the river of suck and these healthy musical attitude ideas. I was tired of just telling people about what I thought, and I was ready to ask more questions because I don't feel like I have all of the answers.
Right.
Really what it's designed for, and it's a metaphor, right? You're on one side
Yeah.
of the river, on the other side is your goals, and you have to get past the obstacles such as thought piranhas, those negative thoughts like self-doubt. So the
Right.
idea is to use this concept to give yourself some perspective when you're trying to accomplish these impossible seeming goals, because this instrument is really freaking hard to play. It's really hard to sound
Yeah.
good. You can't just push a button and make a sound like on a piano.
I
So
know that's right.
that's where it came from, and now it's a full-fledged podcast, and I'm trying to do it monthly. You can look back in the dates and see that it has wavered slightly in the past
Hmm.
great unpleasantness. However, I'm back to full force.
Yeah.
I am monthly. I've got one in the can. I'm about to do another interview tonight, and I've got two interns who are going to help me out
Wow,
from
that's
the
cool.
Colorado University of Boulder from the English department. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
River of Suck. Check it
Yeah.
out. Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcasts.
Okay, cool. Wow, that's good to know, man. Yeah, at least it'll be with the English department, it'll be grammatically correct, and
That's
they'll,
right.
you can't put a price on that.
They asked me like, "Well, do you think you'll have work to do for these English students?" And I'm like, "Okay, it's an audio format. Guess what podcasts are? We say words. So, yes, I believe it relates."
Right. Oh my gosh.
Turns
Um,
out the English majors know even less what to do with their life than musicians.
I
So,
know some English majors, and yeah, they don't know squat.
should have tried music.
Yeah,
That's a
they should have
safe bet.
tried music. Well, I know some music majors too, but that's another time for another story there.
No
You
doubt.
know, one of the quotes that Rashad Eagleston said about if negative is going to be so persistent, put it to work, get it a broom or
Yeah.
get it a guitar or something. That's a pretty profound statement. I can tell. I have a son that's 28 years old, and he's floundering, and he doesn't know what to do, and he needs to put some of that energy into at least a guitar.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, if I can respond to that briefly, one of the things that a lot of my recent guests have been saying have helped them avoid these like terrible like mental like people go in these downward spirals, right? They're playing music and they equate their self-worth and their value as a human being to how
Right.
good their last solo was, or
Yes.
how good they can play, or how good their ideas are, tone, whatever. But one of the great methods that I'm hearing is that people feel less nervous when they're more prepared. So
Yeah.
putting in that time with the metronome. Just having a like goal in mind. It's just
Right.
like, right there my goal was I'm playing a fiddle tune with the metronome. The metronome is hitting the offbeat, like where I imagine Sam Bush is playing the mandolin to back me up,
Right.
which would be very convenient, but this
Yeah.
is even more convenient.
Yeah.
And just trying to work on time, because time changes when you improvise. But like, if you don't practice, you're probably really nervous for good
That's
reason.
right. Yeah, and you made that abundantly clear. You played it so effortlessly that right there, and but you've also played over 10,000 hours playing fiddle. I'm sure.
Sure. But I did have one rhythmic blip that I noticed
Yeah.
for sure. I think it was in the second A, and I moved on. I didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You might, if you go watch it later, maybe I smiled like a tiny bit when that happened.
Okay.
But I maybe not. I don't know. You
Yeah.
try to be a secret ninja about that stuff when
Okay.
it comes
Cool.
to you don't want to, it
Yeah.
should appear perfect, but it ain't.
Yeah. It ain't nothing's perfect as far as I know. But that's
No doubt.
sounds good, man. Tell me
Thanks.
about your teaching method, Andy.
Well, there's all these people holding violins, fiddles, and not enough people are telling students that like those arpeggios they're learning are the chord tones.
Hmm.
And so the thing that I'm trying to convince as many people as will listen is that a looping pedal is a really nice thing for practice. Oh gosh, I didn't put a shoulder rest on this one. I'm just gonna like if you're good. Here's the thing to practice, okay? You want to practice knowing your D chord. You can record a drone. Also, really like the YouTube cello drones. Just giving it a couple layers here. Make it nice and fat. We're gonna add a lower octave. Now I'm ready to play my scale. If you're just playing an instrument by yourself and you can't hear this drone, you're not going to hear that, wow, that's really out of tune.
Right.
So from an ear training standpoint, now of course you want to do that in every possible octave that you're trying to work on. Hit that arpeggio. If you're thinking about seventh chords, the seventh is part of your arpeggio. And then the thing to do, this is where most people stop. They do their scale and arpeggio, but I want to propose the third thing to practice over your drones, which is change the order and use rests, also known as improvising. Now I have a little pedal board down here, so I turn on some delay. Like, let's be nice to ourselves. This effect sounds cool. It makes me want to practice more.
Yeah.
Boom, Etch a Sketch is gone forever. You want to work on your spotted pony? You need rhythm. Oops, but you don't need delay for the rhythm part. Luckily, this is the same chords in the A part and the B part.
Yeah.
So, like, essentially, everyone wants to get better at playing with other people, but the problem is that unless you practice in a way that prepares you for the literal situation of what it feels like to play with others, and
Yeah.
not just that, what does it feel like for other people to play music with you and
Right.
your backup? I just think looping is the best
It is.
possible way to hold ourselves accountable for all the musicianship issues that come up. So
Right.
that's my method, is to buy a looping pedal
Yeah.
and apply it to anything that you do.
Christian House, it does a lot of looping pedal stuff. He's
Yes.
a friend of mine, and I've watched him for a lot of years, and he's a
Hmm.
good violinist, good fiddle player.
I can't say enough good things about Christian House. He was
Yeah.
one of my teachers. I first met him at a fiddle camp when I was a kid, and then I took some lessons from him at Berkeley. And
Yeah.
I've been very honored to be a part of his creative strings workshop.
Yeah.
For I lost track of how many times. So it's
Wow. That's so great.
I will put out there, if anyone is like seeing Christian stuff out there and they're like, is this guy for real? Will it really help me? The answer is yes. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Christian is my friend too, and he can help you. So
Yeah. He's a good guy, I tell you. Uh, it's I think you've really onto something. I think this is a lot better than the traditional of knee to knee learning. Especially these days. Where it's not so convenient to run over to your fiddle teacher
yeah.
and play, and getting a loop pedal and some of the gear that you're mentioned. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and pedals are becoming more and more affordable.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need an electric violin, although I will say I endorse this instrument. I'm a Yamaha artist. I love my YEV 5-string.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but you can buy a pickup for not much money. Sweetwater sells the cheapest pickup that I know of. You can buy a stick-on one for $29. You can
Yeah.
go to a pawn shop or a thrift store and buy an amp, plug it in, see if you like how it sounds. I'm really all for used weird old vintage amps. And then
Yeah.
there's you could spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on expensive gears and pedals, but the cheapest pedals will still record your playing and play it back for you in a loop, and then
Yeah.
you can layer as many things on top as you want. I think my friend was saying, my friend Rob Flax, who's also a fiddle pedal nerd,
Yeah.
uh,
I want to interview him one of these days.
he says there's one on Amazon now for about $40. So it's really like, there's cost shouldn't really be too much of a barrier considering how much a
Yeah.
nice instrument costs. And it's just, you've heard that you should record yourself, but like who sits there and like records 10 minutes and then like really listens to the 10 minutes? And you
Right.
know like, this is instant feedback. How good is your time? Oh, you need work. You don't need a teacher to tell you that. You need to
Yeah.
hear yourself,
Yeah.
and then you'll know.
Yeah. That's right. How much time do you practice these days?
It depends. I would say, if I have a lot of time without gigs,
Mhm.
like let's say during what my friend Melissa Tong calls the great unpleasantness, I would say that I practiced for many more hours in 2020,
Yeah.
right? we were all sitting around, and now gigs are coming back. I'm more most of my practice time right now is just learning the material for all of the bands that I'm playing in.
Yeah,
I've somehow become a a sideman in reasonably high demand in Colorado right now. So
that's
I'm
great.
in, I don't know, like 5 bands right now. And the thing that I'm going to do after I finish with Zoom today is learn 2 sets of music for a band that I've never played with to
Wow.
perform the next day.
Yeah.
so
Wow.
so so there's like need based practicing, which is like, oh my gosh, I have a gig. But then there's like, okay, I would really like to become better at playing up the neck, way up here into the
Yeah.
stratosphere. And um, so I am trying to work on that whenever possible. But the reality is, every playing situation and every part of your day is a learning situation if you
Mhm.
if you if you believe in yourself
Yeah.
enough to you know, if you're playing gigs or you're jamming and you're not learning a lot about your music and how it feels like, so I just try to make, in addition to I'm gonna practice now, I try to be learning every second that I'm playing music or being alive.
Right. Do you compose a lot yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love composing fiddle tunes. I have a series of string orchestra works that can also be played by string quartet. Some of them are self-published. A couple of them are actually published.
Yeah.
So those are for all the you know, school orchestras. Some of them are really hard. You'd need some really good people to play it, and or you could do it with the string quartet. But I love fiddle tunes,
Yeah.
and I think there's an infinite supply of them.
There is.
So
Wow.
I just keep writing fiddle tunes, and they keep, the more fiddle tunes I write, the easier it is to write more fiddle tunes. And so I'm deep in this fiddle tune writing.
Play me a fiddle tune. One of your own fiddle tunes right now, if you don't mind.
Oh sure, let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll do an acoustic one. All right. This is the one that I'm trying to show to the most people, and I'm going to make a little video for all your folks
Okay,
over
good.
at over the iFiddle subscribers.
Yeah.
I'm going to slow
Perfect.
this one down. But if there was one fiddle tune that was going to show up on my gravestone, it'll be this, the Cellosaurus Stomp. Basosaurus Rex, Cheloceratops, Violiraptor, Violinoodactyl, Basosaurus Rex, Cheloceratops, Violiraptor, Chelosaurus Stomp. raptor, violin, bass, sax, cello, ceratops, viola, raptor, cello, stomp.
Wow. Awesome, man. That is awesome.
Yeah. So that's the Cellosaurus stomp. I did write it to be convenient on cello, but it does fit
Yeah.
pretty darn good on a 5-string fiddle. And
Yeah.
if you're stuck in 4-string land, which is fine, you can still play the tune.
That's the tune you're going to do for on the iFiddle magazine for the
That's
magazine
right.
this month. Okay, perfect. Hey, Andy, I got about 10 more minutes left on my meeting here. But
Sure.
can you tell me a little bit about improv? How you improvise, and what are some pointers that I know practice a lot and everything, but from your own personal experience, how do you improvise?
Well, I gave you that hint earlier of of play over the drone, change the
Right.
order, and play rests. Um, so I mean, it sort. Let me pick up this electric thing here again. Um, I think it's a lot of times there's like say tunes that have many chord changes, right? And it's kind of overwhelming to deal with all of them. So I think it's really nice to break it up into groups of two and go from one chord to the next and back again. So I'm gonna just try. Let me pick a different key. Let's say I'm in E and let's say I'm in the key of E major, um, and I'm working on like a bluegrass tune,
Yeah.
like Northern White Clouds, which has a D chord in it. So, so I've got my little loop here going back and forth, finding pathways back and forth between the chords. Whole notes is a really nice distance. You have time to think about the next note.
Right.
Oh, that's a weird note. Maybe I won't do that one again. Oh, why does that sound weird? Oh, it's the sharp 4, that's why. Okay. You sort of have to sit there and like play the wrong notes and be like, that sounds weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I
At a
get
certain
it.
point, you can start speeding them. I'm trying to land on chord tones. Leaning into your mistakes.
Yeah.
Repeating stuff. So then when I go into a tune that goes between those two chord changes, I'm way more ready because I've spent
Right.
hours sitting there on this chord and then that chord, going
Yeah.
back and forth. So, and that's the
Awesome.
thing that I learned from Christian. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
there
some
you have it.
heavy duty stuff there, man. That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. Golly. Well, Andy, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. How can people get in touch with you? Do you give private lessons still, or?
I do give private lessons. People who want the same exact time every week will be disappointed that my schedule changes
Oh
when I
yeah.
have gigs. But I am I am happy to give private lessons, and I love my students. And we work on their goals. And I'm probably going to tell you to buy a looper. But if you go to andyreiner.com, that's a good place to start. That's my
Okay.
name.com. You can reach out to me anytime. AndyReinerFiddle@gmail.com. I also
Okay.
have a Patreon website, and that's a place where you can subscribe to me and in my music. So, the lowest level has um, all of the music that I'm releasing as an artist, and then you can go up and get all of my educational materials. I even have a student right now. We send Marco Polo messages back and forth
Oh yeah.
where she'll send me a video of her playing, and then I'll respond when I can. So we
Yeah.
don't even have to pick a lesson time. So
Wow, that's
that's
cool.
fun. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm releasing singles. Andy Reiner, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, I'm in there. Just search for my name. I've got an album that I couldn't finish, so I'm releasing one song at a time to make sure that I get it out there. So
Wow.
if anyone's listening, if you want to check out my music, you can do it any streaming service or iTunes or anything like that. I'd super appreciate it and
Yeah.
hope you dig it.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Everybody else gonna dig what you're doing, Andy. I really appreciate talking to you today. And
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Mike.
I'll give you a call later on or an email or something, and we can set up that video and everything. But I really appreciate it, Andy, and you take care. And actually, one of these days in the near future, I'd like to get some lessons from you.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, I'll be waiting for your email, or I will see you at Fiddle Hell,
there
which
you
we
go.
of course got in November in person, Massachusetts, April online. That is the new format. So
Okay.
whether you're a person who doesn't want to leave their living room or a person who really wants to leave their living room, we got you. Fiddle Hell, fiddlehell.com, and let's play tunes.
Okay, Andy. Well, you take care, and we'll talk to you later then.
Thank you so much, Mike.
All right,
Thanks
thank
everyone
you.
at iFiddle. You guys rule.
All right, thanks a
Cheers.
lot. Bye bye.